You are about to discover a secret about women that Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, knew 3,000 years ago. Knowledge so powerful, it has been deliberately hidden, distorted, and misinterpreted throughout the centuries. Pay attention, because in the next few minutes you will understand why you are losing the game of attraction. Imagine holding in your hands the mental blueprint Solomon used to conquer 1,000 women. I'm not talking about cheap tricks or manipulation tactics. I'm talking about deep psychological principles that work today exactly as they did in antiquity. Do you know what your biggest problem is right now? You have been programmed to fail with women since the day you were born. Society, religion, your own family have taught you the exact opposite of what actually works. And you keep banging your head against the wall, trying to be the nice guy you learned you should be. Have you ever wondered why that guy who seems to do nothing right is always surrounded by interesting women, while you, who follow all the rules, can barely keep an interesting conversation going for 5 minutes? The answer is hidden in the ancient texts that nobody wants you to read correctly. Solomon was not just a wise king. He was a master in the art of understanding the feminine mind. And what he discovered is so controversial that it has been buried under layers of moralism and convenient interpretations. I have spent the last 12 years decoding these texts, comparing them with modern studies in behavioral psychology, and what I found will completely change the way you see women. Are you ready for it? First sign that Solomon knew forbidden secrets about women: emotional polarity. Solomon understood that women are not attracted to perfect emotional stability. They are magnetically drawn to men who can masterfully navigate between different emotional states. I'm not talking about being bipolar or unstable. I'm talking about having emotional depth. Think of it like a conductor leading an orchestra. You need to know when to be intense and when to be gentle, when to be mysterious and when to be transparent. Solomon mastered this emotional dance like no one else. He knew how to create tension and then relieve it, build anticipation and then surprise. Can you feel the difference between a guy who is always predictable and one who keeps a woman constantly curious? Second hidden principle: the constant test of male leadership. Solomon knew that every woman, consciously or unconsciously, is constantly testing the leadership of the man by her side. It's not malice, it's pure biology. Studies show that this is an evolutionary mechanism to identify reliable partners. When a woman questions your decisions, it's not disrespect. It's a test. When she creates small dramas, it's not craziness. It's a test. When she seems distant for no apparent reason, guess what? It's a test. Solomon passed these tests by not reacting emotionally. He kept his frame, his mental framework, intact. He didn't apologize for being who he was. He didn't change his plans to please. He led with quiet conviction. How many times have you given in at the first sign of her resistance? Does it make sense now why that never worked? Third secret almost no one notices: the non-verbal language of subtle dominance. Solomon understood that 93% of communication with women happens without words. Your posture, your gaze, the way you occupy space, all of it speaks louder than any declaration of love. He knew that a touch at the right moment is worth 1,000 beautiful words, that a well-placed silence creates more sexual tension than hours of conversation, that the way you walk into a room instantly determines your value in her eyes. Have you ever noticed how some men seem to command feminine attention just by entering a room? It's not luck, it's mastery of this secret language that Solomon codified millennia ago. Your body is constantly transmitting signals of value or need, of abundance or scarcity, of confidence or insecurity, and women are genetically programmed to read these signals with surgical precision. Can you imagine the power of completely mastering this invisible communication? Fourth ultra-rare principle: the art of strategic validation. Solomon didn't hand out compliments like confetti. He understood that validation is a powerful currency that loses value when overused. When he praised, it was specific, unexpected, and always conditioned on something she did, not on who she was. Most men throw out free validation, hoping to get something in return. You tell her she's beautiful before you even know her. You put her on a pedestal from the first date. And then you wonder why she loses interest. Solomon did the opposite. He created an environment where the woman sought his approval, not the other way around. He set high standards and rewarded only when those standards were met. This created an addictive dynamic where she constantly wanted to impress him. Think about how this is different from what you've been doing. Have you been giving power or taking power in your interactions? Do you notice the shift in energy? Fifth secret hidden in the scriptures: the paradox of availability. Solomon, even with 1,000 women, was never completely available to any of them. He understood that desire and availability are inversely proportional. The more available you are, the less desirable you become. This doesn't mean being a jerk who disappears for weeks. It means having a life so rich and full of purpose that your attention naturally becomes valuable. Solomon ruled a kingdom, settled disputes, wrote proverbs. His attention was a privilege, not a right. Are you living a life that makes your attention valuable? Or are you always available because you have nothing else going on? When you respond to messages instantly, cancel plans to see her, rearrange your life around her, you are communicating desperation. Solomon never did that. His life was the main event, and women wanted to be part of that epic story. Does this make your brain rethink some recent choices? Sixth principle that few men apply: calculated vulnerability. Solomon was not an emotionless robot. He knew exactly when and how to show vulnerability strategically. Not the weak vulnerability of someone needing validation, but the strong vulnerability of someone choosing to open up. There's a brutal difference between emotionally collapsing, seeking solace, and sharing a personal story from a place of strength. Solomon shared his battles after winning them, not during the fight. He understood that women are attracted to men who have overcome adversity, not by men who are drowning in it. When you share your weaknesses, it should always be in the context of how you conquered them. This creates a deep emotional connection without sacrificing your leadership position. It's one of the most powerful and misunderstood secrets about feminine attraction. Have you been sharing your victories or your defeats? Can you feel the energetic difference? Seventh and most controversial secret of Solomon: the power of emotional scarcity. Solomon purposefully created moments of emotional distance. He knew that the feminine brain exponentially values what it might lose more than what it has guaranteed. When you are always emotionally available, always ready to talk about feelings, always willing to solve relationship problems, you kill sexual tension. Solomon always maintained a small mystery, a small distance that was never completely crossed. This is not coldness or manipulation. It's understanding that attraction needs space to breathe, like a fire that needs oxygen to burn. Smother it with excessive attention, and the flame dies. Does it make sense now why your most intense relationships were those where there was a certain unpredictability? Now you're going to tell me this is manipulation, that this is mind games, that true love shouldn't need these strategies. Let me wake you up to reality. Solomon wasn't manipulating anyone. He was operating in harmony with the natural laws of attraction that have existed since the world began. Ignoring these laws doesn't make you nobler. It makes you more ignorant. You can continue doing what modern society has taught you and keep getting the same mediocre results. Or you can apply this ancient wisdom and experience a level of connection and attraction you never thought possible. The framework Solomon used is simple. Observe feminine patterns without moral judgment. Value your own development and leadership above any relationship. Connect authentically, but always keeping your masculine essence intact. You need to understand one thing. This knowledge is rare because it requires courage to apply. It requires you to abandon the social programming you've received. It requires you to take full responsibility for your results with women. Most men prefer to keep blaming women, society, looks, money, anything but admitting that they simply don't understand the game they're playing. Solomon had this understanding, and it wasn't just about sex or conquest. It was about creating deep and meaningful connections by operating in harmony with feminine nature, not against it. When you understand these principles, every interaction becomes a dance instead of a struggle. You stop rowing against the current and start sailing with the wind at your back. Think of all the times you did the exact opposite of what you should have. All the needy messages you sent, all the pedestals you built, all the free validation you handed out hoping for crumbs of attention in return. Now imagine redoing those situations with Solomon's knowledge. Imagine the difference in the results. Imagine the man you would become. This doesn't happen overnight. Solomon took years developing this mastery. But every principle you apply moves you in the right direction. Every time you choose to lead instead of follow. Every time you maintain your frame instead of giving in. Every time you create tension instead of seeking comfort. The man Solomon wasn't born ready. He was forged through the consistent application of these principles. And the same process is available to you now. You have two choices. Continue in the same cycle of frustration, doing the same things and expecting different results. Or apply this ancient wisdom and experience a complete transformation in how women respond to you. The church doesn't want you to know this, because men empowered with this knowledge are not easily controlled. Society doesn't want you to know because it needs domesticated and predictable men. Women themselves consciously don't want you to know because it breaks the romantic illusion they've been taught to value. But unconsciously, at the deepest, most primal level, this is exactly what they hope you discover on your own. It's the ultimate test. The man who deciphers this code without them needing to explain it is the man they are looking for. Solomon deciphered this code 3,000 years ago. He left the clues in his writings for those with eyes to see. Now you have access to this decoding. Remember the mental blueprint I mentioned at the beginning. You now have the main coordinates. The reference points Solomon used to navigate the complex territory of feminine attraction. Use this knowledge wisely, not to manipulate or harm, but to create authentic connections by operating at the highest level of consciousness, to become the man you were destined to be. Do this now, before you forget. Like this video if this information resonated with you. Subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning. Hit the bell because the next level of this knowledge is coming. And remember, you now possess the map Solomon drew. The question is, will you have the courage to follow the path?